To order. And if we could start with a flag salute. Richard, would you lead us in the flag salute, please?
Sir, can you do it from here? Yeah. Right hand over heart. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Richard. May we have the roll call, please?
Director Huffer,
Yes.
Director Lang,
Here.
Director Cussworth,
Here.
Director Nichols.
Yes.
Director Buss.
Here.
Thank you very much. We have two special presentations this evening. The first one is very special, featuring our therapeutics unit, the Grayson Walpert Scholarship. Are you going to start with this?
Thank you very much. My name is Devin Herbert, the Recreation Supervisor of the Therapeutic Recreation Unit. Thank you for having us tonight. And I would like to welcome Richard Wolpert to speak a little bit about the Grayson R. Wolpert Memorial Foundation that supports the Therapeutic Recreation Unit and how it supports it.
So I'm here with my wife, Jenny. Can you guys hear me okay? And we have two daughters. One is Skylar, who's now 25, and we say one is Grayson, who's now in heaven. Grayson passed away at the end of 2009, just a couple months shy of her 16th birthday, but there were things she really found joy in life from. And one of those was her time at Therapeutic Parks and Rec. She volunteered, I think, beginning at age 11 or 12 every summer pretty religiously, and came home every night with just this light on her face for the experiences she had had that day. And it just meant so much to her that after losing her, which is obviously the worst thing can happen to a parent, we try and survive and make something good out of it. And that was when we set up the Grayson Walpert Memorial Foundation, funding different things through therapeutics, parks and recs, including peer mentor counseling, the Silver Starlight Ball, the now Grayson R. Walpert Memorial Dance, and also Ride On for the camp attendees, because horse was another one of Grayson's passions. So it's a way to keep her memory alive and keep alive programs that would have mattered to her. And I know she's looking down on us and probably really happy that this is happening. We've just this year started scholarships. So our very, very first scholarship is going to this nice gentleman in the purple. I don't need to be more specific than that. He kind of is extremely visible, named Luke, who has volunteered, is my understanding, at the camp from 2017 all the way through 2022. And I also heard you graduated as a valedictorian from Westlake High and are going to UC Santa Cruz. So, and just from a brief conversation we had, it seems like the camp meant a lot to Luke as well. So we're very, very honored and pleased to present the first of many scholarships tonight to Luke for $1,000. And I just want to thank Luke for all of his volunteer work.
Thank you very much. So yes, Jenny and Richard Wolpert are here on behalf of the Grayson Wolpert Foundation and are so thankful. Thank you so much. Luke, if you would like to come up here. A little bit more about Luke. So he started volunteering through Boys Teen Charity with his mom and his following his older brothers as well. Started in 2017. I remember when Luke first started, he was quiet, as many are when they first start volunteering, just because it's it's an environment that's kind of scary, or just kind of like, how do you fit in? Where do you jump? Where do you jump into and stuff like that? But he was just such a natural at finding some of those quiet individuals that didn't know how to initiate conversation or initiate how to play a game with somebody. And he just was that silent buddy to those individuals. And just, and those are just the small impacts that just make a lifetime memory or impact of a friend that you can never take back. And just is those small things go a long way. And thank you for everything that you've done within the therapeutic recreation unit and making an impact on the community. You know, Grayson too was that natural friend to all of those that didn't know how to fit in or how to, you know, open up in those environments that are overwhelming or overstimulating. So, so Luke volunteered 173 hours with Conejo Recreation and Park District, the therapeutic recreation unit, from 2017 to 2022. Like Richard said, he graduated as a valedictorian from Westlake High School. And tonight we present you with the very first Grayson R. Memorial Scholarship as you set off to the University of Santa Cruz. So thank you so much for everything that you've done and your impact in the community. So.
Could we first have board comments and then we'll get some pictures? So don't leave yet, please. I'm guessing that board members might have some comments. So I'm going to start down at this end with Director Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, what a special occasion, especially being the first time. This is fantastic. You know, we hear so much good things about the therapeutic program, but often it's, you know, Devin and staff that are kind of extolling what's happening. But when we actually see some of the volunteers that without their help, the program wouldn't be near as, I would say, boisterous as it is. Just as, you know, there's so many good things that we hear about it. And that's really, you know, a testament to you, Luke, and your efforts. I mean, through high school, say, I was not thinking about doing like things like that when I was in high school. You know, it was just baseball, playing kick the can in the street and things like that. I appreciate, you know, folks like you that have taken that extra time that was your personal spare time and dedicating it to the community. And so our community is better off, and thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Director Cussworth.
Yes, I'd like to thank the Wolparts. Thank you so much for your generosity. I'm sure that Devin and everyone in her program appreciate your donation and your caring and all of the help that you're doing for the therapeutics unit. And Luke, thank you for you, just for being you. I mean, a valedictorian and a nice, caring person, it's very difficult to be around children with disabilities often. And so the fact that you can go and make children feel better, that you're giving of your time, it kind of, you know, when you see things like this, it makes you really feel good about the future, that we're going to have good people in our future taking care of our world. So thank you very much.
Director Bess.
Yeah, this is an extremely touching program right now. I'm like really like, I think it's beautiful what you're doing with your daughter's memory. I have 2 daughters myself, and I just am really touched by that. And I love the fact that you volunteered so much time in this organization. I mean, that is just exactly not something that a typical teenage boy would be doing. And being a valedictorian on top of it and going to UC Santa Cruz, which I got accepted to too. Wish I would have gone. Go, what is it? Banana slugs? Yeah. So thank you both.
Director Lang.
Yes, thanks to everybody, you know, establishing a scholarship like this says so much. It says a lot about your daughter. It says a lot about you as a family. And for Luke, who has earned and garnished the experience and so forth, to be the very first recipient is very special. And seeing this type of a program and seeing you encourages me about our future generation. I have more confidence when I see people like you. Keep up the good work. And you said Santa Cruz, right? That's where my son works, up there and lives. Again, congratulations.
Well, Richard and Jenny, thank you so much for everything that your daughter's foundation has done to support various programs in the therapeutics union. Devin mentioned the Starlight Ball, probably my favorite event every single year. Right On Therapeutics, such a great organization, and the support that you've provided for them is just invaluable. and now providing scholarships for a volunteer like Luke is just really special. So I just want to add my thanks and congratulations to your family, and Luke, congratulations on being the first recipient of this scholarship. Wishing you the best of luck up at UC Santa Cruz. And I'm just curious, you started back in 2017, so it's been a few years. When you started, were you even then taller than Devin, or
That's not hard.
what can I tell you? Anyway, thank you all very much. Congratulations. And if we could just get some photos up here with the entire board.
No, I was.
Okay, so our second special presentation will be from ETI Corral 37.
Hello there. So I'm Sharon Henry. I've been here a couple times before. So every year I kind of update you guys on what's going on with ETI and kind of give you the skinny of where we're headed and what we've been up to. So we do have like a PowerPoint. Oh, was it this thing right here? Do I do something with this? So now I just press. I'm not the most techie person. Oh, there we go. Okay. So ETI is an organization in whole since 1944. And it actually covered the entire country at one point. And then later, I guess, because of insurance purposes, they broke it down into different sections, if you will. So we're Corral 37, and we cover Thousand Oaks at the Equestrian Park on Las Flores. I mean, a lot of you know ETI's purpose because you've seen me here for a long time. But it's really just to keep an eye on the legislation that affects equine, promotes good horsemanship, so that we have people that are taking good care of their horses, riding them safely, all those kinds of things. And then keeping track of trails and areas within like the backcountry, and even like within our own areas, just keeping trails open and accessible to people with horses. Our particular group is we want to grow the equestrian community. There's been a lot of change. And so we're trying to do a number of things to grow, connect with people, provide the services that people are looking for. So partnering with you guys is amazing. And I got to tell you, listening to the impact that this young man had, it just reminds me the impact that ETI has on a lot of youth and a lot of people with horses. And none of this, whether it would be possible without CRPD. And so we're very appreciative, very, very blessed and very thankful that we have the facility that we have. And it's an amazing place. And I just want to throw that in, just how much that we appreciate having the opportunity to work with you and create this really great environment for all different kinds of people. And I personally focus on kids, and I teach kids about horses and riding and all that kind of stuff. And it's really cool to see these kids that I've mentored throughout the years that are in college and they're getting jobs and they're up, in different, just all over the world. And so it's pretty cool. There's one young lady that is riding and training and showing horses in upstate New York. And she goes, yeah, the horses I like are the ones you just can't find anything under 50 grand. I'm like, cool. It's like a car. So anyway, it's just, there's people all over the country, you guys, that started this arena. We just want to keep improving it and maintaining it. And one of our focuses this year is public outreach in the non-horse equestrian area. So this is kind of a lot to read. In 2022, we had a big drop in numbers in horse shows. And there were two areas. There was the ranch. There's an English, a Western, and a ranch division. The ranch division, big and strong. English crickets, Western crickets. And what we have found is that even at some of the bigger known barns like Elvin Star, they were having trouble drawing people from English shows. So what we did this year in 23, we dropped Western, we dropped English because there's other avenues for them. And we really focus on the ranch because that's where our numbers have come from. And then our Gymkhana, our first Gymkhana, our sales were $6,000. We had 54 riders. That was a record. We've never done that before. So clearly there's a draw. And so that's what we're aiming towards. We want to involve the general public because people don't know we exist. I have a friend that he does construction for all kinds of people and whatnot. And he helps me. His name is Raul Sanchez. He's helped with a lot of the improvements at the park. And he says, people don't even know you guys are around. So we're trying to change that. So we did that with our Shodio last October, which was amazing. And we're doing the same sort of a thing in October. We're also talking about doing like a movie night. I mean, it'd be a perfect place to sit at the horse facility and watch a horse movie. And we could even have like some horses there for people to pet, things like that. And then at Christmas time, having a play day for people. We could have some on horses, some not on horses. But again, trying to draw the kids from the community and get them involved. Our trail arena, we're going to finish that, just updating things and just, working on property maintenance and beautification because the weeds are very prolific this year. So this is what I mentioned before about the changes. Last year, there's a $10,000 drop in horse shows. A huge increase over Gymkhanas. And I mentioned and just so you guys know, you're probably like, what the heck's a Gymkhana? So it's speed events. And so it's like barrel racing, but we have 6 different events and, you have to follow somewhat certain dress code, but people can be really extravagant if they want to. They can paint their horses and put glitter on them. And it's, everybody's like, yeah, go, it's a real woo-ha kind of experience. And it's just a lot of fun. And horse shows are far more stuffy, if you will, to be proper. So we still, woohoo for the people that do well, but just a little different sort of a thing. So some of the ways we use the arena, I personally am in the arena 5 days a week. So, and that's why I do what I do with ETI, because I figure it's my way of giving back to the community and to keep it going, because somebody's got to do it. It used to be Barbara Closter. So I'm like the new and much younger Barbara Closter, for those of you that know Barbara. So anyway, we use it for all different kinds of things. Was there today, did a camp, and then lesson there this afternoon. So So the Ventura County Sheriff's Department use the facility and do different kinds of training. It's always very entertaining for our horses that are not trained like this to see them, their eyes, if they were like cartoon animals, our eyes would be huge. Like, what are they doing to those poor horses? So it's pretty cool. These guys can, the animals can take it. So some of the show participants and the young ladies are actually my show team, my girls. The gal in the purple, she is now soon to be 21. She started riding with me when she was 6. So she's a good kid too. This is a young man. We do have boys. There's another one and he's in pink. He loves pink. So cool. So at some of the different events. The Gymkhana, so this is the speed event. So the pole, the one gal that's going through, that's called pole bending, and there's 6 poles in a row, and they're only 20 feet apart. And if your horse is going super fast, that horse has to be like near, like super quick to get through them. So there's definitely an art to it. We do an awards program every year. This was from last year. Just an example of some of the prizes. This year, we've kind of upped our game. The last 2 years, we've given away a saddle to the overall high point at the Gymkhanas. This year, we're doing it in every division. So we're giving away 5 saddles. And so we're just kind of, we're trying to, I guess, get our name out there that they give good prizes, because some people, they want to go for the prizes. And so we're working on that reputation. So this was the show deal that we did. CRPD gave us a grant for a lot of I think $3,000 of the expenses, not really sure. So for years we had a day of the horse that Barbara Kloster put together. She worked hard. And so we work a little bit differently. We still work hard, but maybe in a little different way. And so we came up with a show and just had exhibits for kids. We had games. We just had all kinds of things where people could learn about horses, and as well as just play and have a good time. This gal too, and this horse, she's a para-Olympic. She does not have use of her legs. And she, I guess, is kind of en route to be going to the para dressage rider Olympics at some point. That's her with a young man on I guess it's on my left. I'm not sure about you guys. And then Claudia de la Pena, she's on the black and white horse on the other side. So when she was running for mayor again, I believe. And then the man in the middle, that I can't think of, Dave Thornbury. He's been around, he's an icon in the Western industry and an amazing maker of like chaps and saddles and things like that. So this was just some of the kids that we had. We just try to think of fun things for them to do, like roping things. And we had a bunch of horses there that they could pet, they could take photos. And when we are scheduled, I think from 11 to 3, and people were getting, and we had 100 gift bags that we put together for the kids. At 10:15, they were all gone. So we had a huge show of people, and it was just really fun. It was fun to see everything come to fruition and how much fun people had. So it's my belief that kids that are busy stay out of trouble. So this is just an example of these kids and the work ethic that they have. I mean, that's a little teeny peanut there on holding that pole, and they help load things, set things up. All those girls in the back of the truck, they help out quite a bit at the arena. And just so you know, in that upper photo, it's really cool. We have a bunch of boys this year. So there's 4 brothers that come to our shows and our Gymkhanas. So we really appreciate everything that ETI has done. And this is a great example of how everybody decorates their horses. She's very festive. So that's it.
Right.
So
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
If you would stay up there,
Yeah, do you have some
I
questions?
suspect that the board members might have some comments or questions. Director Lang.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Chair Huffer. And thank you, as always, for your presentations. It really is enlightening to hear all the good things you're doing and the growth of the program. And being a longtime resident, I've known Barbara Kloster
Yeah.
for years and years, and many other Bob Olson. I don't know if that name rings a bell with you, and
What's the name?
Bob Olson.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And anyway, it's a great organization. I know the horse population has decreased considerably from when I first came to the Conejo Valley. But it sounds like you've got a strong core that continually supports ETI Corral,
Mhm.
and that's so important. One quick question. A number of years ago, you used to have, ETI Corral used to have a Halloween dress up parade. And
Absolutely.
at the time, they were soliciting CRPD board members to be the judges of the different horses and their costumes.
Absolutely.
Do you have that anymore?
We do. So we
Okay.
will, I'll reach out to you guys, because we do it at our Gymkhana in October. And I think it's the third Saturday in October. So we'd love to have you there. That'd be really awesome.
Again, thank you for the presentation.
You're very welcome.
Director Bess?
So both my daughters ride at Elven Star. I am a horse mom, which I never thought I would be.
Mm.
I didn't grow up riding, but I'm getting used to Strawberry is her name. But yeah, I was curious because they write English at Elven Star. And I was wondering, so you guys used to do English shows there?
Mhm.
And how long ago did you stop doing them?
Last year was the last time we did them.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah,
just last year.
yeah, because Elven Star, I never felt like, or I never heard of any of the local ones. They always go to all the
They go to
paddock,
the big
Hampton
shows. Yeah,
Dam, Santa Barbara. Yeah.
absolutely.
But yeah, my girlfriend who got me into all of this, who was a horse trainer and her triplets ride, she was saying, she's like, oh, when I grew up, we used to go to all these little shows. And I'm like, oh, it's a kind of a bummer. We don't have any of that around here. But not being a horse person, I don't know these things. Where do the horses that you have for lessons and what have you there, are they all living in Waverly Heights or are you trucking
No.
them in?
No, people bring them in by trailer. My
Oh,
personal
okay.
horses are in Waverly Heights. I live on Coyote Jasmine.
Okay.
But we get the huge parking lot that's out there.
Yeah.
It's kind of full. Because I got big rigs pulling in from Piru, all around Ventura County.
So the
Yeah.
girls that are riding or the kids that are riding there, are they just riding your horses in or are they they're trailering in their horses too?
Trailering their horses. I don't have enough horses for everybody.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was curious about that because that's with that
Yeah, I have
facility.
50,000 horses.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
no.
Yeah. Oh, so that's interesting because I didn't know all that, but thank you
Yeah.
for the presentation.
You're very
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
And there's also, just to answer your question too, and I didn't mention this before, is there are 2 other organizations using the facility. So ETI Corral 118, they used to have an arena in the east end of Simi Valley, and I guess they're trying to get that figured out and get that taken care of. So in the meantime, they've resurrected their corral and they're using our facility, and they have English and Western and Gymkhanas. And then there's a group called TNT, and they are doing shows at the facility, doing jumping and dressage shows. So the facility is getting used by people other than us as well. It's like, it's funny because rain, and then we had I think it's called vesicular stomatitis or something like that, this virus that's going around. And so everybody's afraid to have their horses near each other. And so we put some protocols in place, so we were able to have our Gymkhana. But it's definitely been an interesting time, that's for sure. So
Yeah, that's why our home shows got canceled,
yes,
was because of the virus going around, and 2 of the barns next to us have it.
yeah,
So yeah, it's kind of a scary time with the horses and the flies and all that.
it is. And horses do get flies.
Yeah.
And
a
now that
lot.
it's hot, we have a bazillion flies. So it's not pleasant.
Yeah, no, I'm learning all about that fly spray and
Yeah.
fly sheets and all sorts of fun stuff.
Director Cusworth?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you come and resurrect our memory about the horse facility, because I've never been involved with horses. My brother and his daughter was. He said he could only have one child because they have a child and a horse. And
Yeah.
that's pretty took up all of his time. How many kids do you have involved in your corral?
And the corral itself, I think our membership in the corral is 80.
80.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's a lot bigger than I thought it would be. So
Yeah.
there's still a pretty active horsemanship here in the valley.
There is. And it's interesting because there's only a few ETI corrals that are doing horse shows. And at least in the Conejo, well, certainly Conejo Valley, but I don't know of any other gymkhanas. I'm sure they're out there, like out at by Hanson Dam and stuff. But we're one of the most active corrals. I think there's only 3 corrals that do horse shows in ETI, at least in Southern California.
Oh, really? In
Yeah.
all of Southern California?
That's
Oh,
my
so-
understanding. It used to be a huge organization, but again, this equestrian community has dropped off. And for a while there, I was paying a little over $30 a bale for hay. And now it's dropped down to 26. So I get 80 bales a month, roughly. It's $2,000 a month for just hay,
For one horse? How many horses do you have?
more than I'm supposed to.
Oh,
But you didn't hear that.
Uh.
So, and they eat a lot. They're, and now they don't eat as much because it's so hot, but in the winter they get fed more because the eating the hay and the digestion helps keep them warm.
Mhm.
So, and I don't blanket them. It's too much work and they don't need it as long as they fur up. So yeah, it's a whole different, very weird subculture in society.
So did you grow up riding horses?
I did.
Did you have kids that rode horses too?
I did. I do.
So-
Did. They're older now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So-
I was very fortunate. We were talking, Andrew and I were talking about, I bought my house about 22 years ago. And so I was able to raise my kids there with property. And that's how I was raised. I showed lambs. My brother raised steers. I did 4-H and showed horses. And so I kind of recreated at my home the same sort of thing. And I don't know if it's okay with the city, but we had steers, we had lambs, we had turkeys, we had some of the craziest stuff at my house. And the neighbors didn't seem to mind. And but yeah, they competed and did all kinds of great stuff. And in fact, my youngest, the oldest, I bought her car. The second one, his grandpa gave him one. And then my youngest, he used the money he raised from his steers to buy his first car.
Wow.
So I think there was a period of like 9 years that we had 1 to 3 steers at the house. That's a whole nother weird subculture, you guys. Oh my gosh, show cattle. Whoa. So it's a neat opportunity that we have in this area to have animals with kids because it teaches them so much responsibility.
Mhm.
And they like the kids used to have to clean their own, clean the horses' corrals, and they would clean them into each other's, evidently. And then my one son, I guess, would throw it over the fence into the neighbors. So the neighbor came over and, we took care of that, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm really glad to know how that property is being used because like your friend said, it's not a real visible thing unless you know what's going on there.
Absolutely.
I guess unless you live there or something. So,
Yeah,
okay, thank you for coming.
you're very welcome.
Director Nichols?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, thanks for the presentation. I'm a neighbor. I live in Waverly Heights, so I'm accustomed to seeing horses walking down the street, sheep walking down the street, goats walking down the street. So it's fun. The grandkids enjoy it too. We get chickens next door. So it's, it just reminds me of, what the heritage of this area is all about. But also at the same time, we've noticed a significant change in the residents of our community. Because it's not quite that same agrarian lifestyle that it once was when it was formed here. You mentioned that you had 80 members. Is that stable? Is that increasing? Is it decreased? Just wondering, with what Director Lang said, is the population of horses seems to be declining. How's that affected your membership?
It does ebb and flow, but 80 has kind of been a consistent number. Sometimes it'll be at 60. It'll go back up to 80. And so it fluctuates. It's funny because when we do our events, you either need to be a member or sign a non-member form so that they're covered by insurance. So a lot of people plan on attending all the events, so they become a member. And then if they want to earn year-end awards, they need to be a member. So there's incentives, and it's very inexpensive. A child is 40, an adult and a child is 70. So it's very cost effective for an entire year. So yes, there is some ebb and flow for sure with it. So it's just, I guess, part of business.
Sure. Yeah. Well, interests come and go. Absolutely. I
Mhm.
appreciate that. And how many of these events do you have for your particular corral throughout the course of a year?
We are doing 4 horse shows this year. And then we started in April and we're going through October, a gymkhana every month on the 3rd Saturday. So I
okay.
don't know the math on that.
So there is kind of a horse season, so to speak. when
Yeah.
You go through that time period.
Yeah, that winter we had, that was not very horse friendly at all.
Sure. Yeah.
So you probably saw my group riding the streets of Waverly Heights
Okay.
in the winter because we couldn't take them out, and they're like popcorn. They're like bing 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 all in their corrals because they're freaking out because they're not getting exercise. And so we take them out and just walk them, just
Okay.
get them out. So
Okay. All right. And actually, it was the first time I've ever had a horse come around for trick or treating too. So that was kind of interesting.
that's awesome.
And then with all the dues that you collect for membership or the events, does that just go kind of just keep sponsoring more and more events? Obviously you have to buy awards and things like that. Just wondering, what is that? What do those funds go towards?
It goes to a lot of things. In terms of, we want to give back to our participants. So we've definitely upped our game this year in terms of our prizes because we want to start getting known for like, wow. So everything's very personalized. So anyway, so it goes to prizes. It goes towards like the horse shows. There's a lot of fees, like the judges. We also paid CDFA drug fees for each horse because they come out and test. So we take care of those kind of expenses. And then we use the rest of it to maintain the property.
Okay.
So we work with your organization and do grants, and that's how the
Mhm.
properties continues to grow and improve. And so that's what our funding is for. And that's where I think that we're really unique than most horse facilities. So if you go to Hanson Dam and rent their facility, you just show up, ride, do your show, whatever, and you leave. Well, we're a little different because everything above ground, we're responsible for the most part. And so if the sand gets low, we have to buy it.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things, like our grant for this next year is, getting more sand, and like we're widening one of the arenas and we're adding a storage facility just to make things more accessible. We've added water and power. I think water and like sprinklers to all the arenas and power to all the arenas. So we just keep putting it back into the property and maintaining. We put up kiosks at each arena this last year. We also use it for equipment for the actual events. So we've purchased like new barrels for the gymkhanas. We will be building, like we built a new bridge, and we're trying to get, our shows are called ranch shows. So we try to emulate what it'd be like on a ranch for the most part. We're kind of like a city ranch. And so we're buying like fake plants and doing things that make it a little trickier. Purchasing like actual tree limbs from tree trimmers, so that they're natural. So it's natural types of looks. I also have what are they called? Like when you're doing construction, it's those wooden stands, and it's has a cow head attached to it. So it looks like a really ugly, weird little cow. And we put that out there. And the horses are like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. So we try to do things like that because it shows a horse that's good-minded versus one that just, oh my gosh, the world is falling apart. So we reinvest into the events, into the competitors, into the facility. I would say the facility is one of our biggest expenses.
Okay.
But it's so worth it. We're very blessed.
And then just one last question I had is, you mentioned that you had 54 riders at this one event. How many of those were within your own corral and how many of those were from elsewhere?
Honestly, that I don't know. Yeah. They're all, actually, those were all our corral. They all became members and they join it so they can go for the year end. So they're all of our members. Where they come from, a lot of them come from Simi Valley, Moore Park, just the surrounding equestrian area, Fillmore. I think that's as far as they come from.
Okay.
It's just like, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes out, 45 minutes out. So, but then they all become a member of the corral so that they can go for the year-end prizes.
Okay.
So that's the incentive.
Super.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for answering the questions. Thank you for the
course.
presentation. And thank you for keeping this part of the Conejo Valley heritage moving forward.
You're very welcome.
And I just want to add my thanks. I always enjoy getting an update as to what ETI is doing from year to year. And it's good to hear that you folks are doing so much and adding some programs and different ideas that you're having to keep the equestrian life, as you said, alive in our community, because you know, certainly very different from when many of us moved to the community, very different from when you were a little one and involved in 4-H. I was just curious, are there any 4-H clubs here in the Conejo Valley, or?
There used to be timber 4-H. I don't know if they still exist. It's been a while since my kids have been in 4-H. When they were in this area, we were in Santa Rosa Valley 4-H because they had a big horse project. And then my kids, you know, went on to do lambs and whatnot. And then we moved out of 4-H, myself and two friends, we created a new organization. It's called Seymour, or it's called Grange. And so we called ours Seymour, like See Me More Park Grange. And because it was just, like, for example, I had a meeting at the 4-H office with, I don't even know what she was in charge of. And one of the things that she had said was, your riders can't take lessons or can't work with a trainer. They can only take lessons from and get help from their 4-H leader. Like, really? So the 4-H leader is supposed to give free lessons to all these kids all the time. It just doesn't make sense. So it was just like we were butting up against something that just wasn't an option. So anyway, so we created Seymour Grange. And so that current club has over 200 members now.
Oh, wow.
It's huge.
Huh.
So, yeah, and it's horses, a lot of pigs, a lot of livestock. I would say it's mostly livestock.
Okay.
So, and some are in Thousand Oaks. I don't know where. I don't know where the pigs are, but
Yeah. Again,
know I
thank you
wouldn't
so
have
much
them.
for the information, and
you're welcome.
continue the good work that you all are doing out there.
Thank you. We will do that. Thanks for the opportunity too.
Okay, item 4 on our agenda, items from the public. I don't see any public in person. Do we have anybody online? No, okay. I do miss having 20 or 30 pickleballers in the audience. That was so nice. Item 5, approval of the agenda. I will entertain a motion to that effect. Director Cusworth,
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
I'll
thank you.
second.
And a second, Director Lang. Any further comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Item 6, consent calendar. A, approval of minutes. B, approval of warrants. Again, I'll entertain a motion.
So
Director
move
Lang,
consent calendar A and B.
thank you. Can I get a second? Thank you, Director Bust. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor of 6A and B?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Item 7, deferred matters. I don't believe we have any, do we, Mr. General Manager?
No.
Thank you. Item 8, nor do we have any items for discussion. So we'll move right along to item 9A, California Strategic Growth Council. Are you taking this?
Thank you, Chair Huffer, members of the board. As you know, staff has been working on Conejo Community Park and Center improvement projects. We've been chipping away, working with on the planning side and kind of getting into permits. However, we're looking to the future to pay to build it. So we've been looking at other opportunities for outside grants from the California Strategic Growth Council. There's a Community Resilience Centers program. And we're looking to maximize the grant request at 10 million. If you're aware, it's a $20 million project. So we're going after as much as we can get based on the grant program, and we'll see how it goes. But as part of that, there's a requirement for a resolution. The resolution is an attachment to the report. Basically, it approves of project application and then also designating the general manager for authority to handle documents, agreements, and amendments and payments and all that fun paperwork stuff. So with that, I am available for questions.
Do we have any questions for Andrew? Director Lang?
Yes. Andrew, have we applied for this previously, this organization? for
No,
grants?
this is not in my time. We might have in the past, but I believe this grant program specifically is a new program.
Okay. I didn't recognize it, but thank you.
Director Bus?
So if we're awarded the grant, is there a time frame in which you have to use it?
Yes, and that would be like negotiated and worked through the program. So it's kind of details to come, but typically you have a decent chunk of time to execute.
Okay, because if we don't find the other 10 million,
Correct.
do we then lose the money?
Possibly, yes.
Okay.
Director Cusworth.
How competitive is this? Or is it, how do you, what do you feel our chances are that we'll receive? this grant?
I think we have a great project. And I think we can put together a great application. All these are very competitive, you know, when you have $100 million sitting out there. One thing that is in our favor is the program's broken up. It's 98.6 total, but about 80 million of that is for implementation, which we are. So actually brick and mortar building something. The other about 18 million is for community outreach, which we did years ago. Plan processing and stuff, which we're already funded for and are already well through. So there's a good chunk of that fund that's for what we are going for. However, $10 million is $10 million. That's a pretty significant amount of money to be asking for. So, but yeah, it is competitive. You know, we would be competing with counties, cities, other special districts for their other centers that they're working on as well. So
It seems to me that we would be in a good position, being that we do use our buildings for, heat.
Correct.
To help people. And we do need bigger buildings so that we can facilitate that. And it's not getting any cooler. So.
correct. Yeah, we feel we align very well from a community base to resiliency, but then also just from being ready. You know, that's one of the mantras that we've been doing for many years, is being as shelf ready as possible. To maybe we don't have the money for it, but we move forward and get through the planning process. So I feel like we're in a good spot to be very competitive with it. However, there may be a lot of other folks that are in the same spot as we are.
Well, thank you for your good planning ahead to put us in a position so that we can get something like this. It sounds like a wonderful program and something that we really need. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One question, is this an all or nothing proposition, or could they consider giving less than what you asked for?
Yes, always. They could always give us less depending on other competition, how we score. There's a scoring system and such. So, but yeah, it would be great to get 10 million. It'd be great to get a couple million or a couple 100,000, obviously, but yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, sort of a follow-up to Director Nichols' question and Director Buss. You have to identify a specific project that the funds are going to be used for.
Correct.
So even best case, we get 10 million, we still would have to come up with another 10 million to complete the center. If they granted us 10,000 or 100,000 even, what would you be able to do with that money if it has to be specifically for the replacement community center?
Possibly with how the contract would be, like if we do get selected, we could phase the project. We typically don't want to phase something to this level because then we would disturb the park site and such, but we have talked about that because it is such a large project. Maybe we go after the east side of the property where we take care of parking and the new building, which would be about half of the budget of that 20 million. And so it would just be a phase project approach, but we really don't know until the opportunity is in front of us to see what we can accomplish for it. So,
Okay. And you said in your notes here that the due date is September 5th. When do we get the letter or phone call that we have indeed received the $10 million?
I think the 6th. I think they said the 6th. No, we don't have a timeline yet. They actually were a little slow to roll out some of the application paperwork and stuff. We just got that the other day, and then they have since pushed back to like mid to late September, the due date. And so once we kind of get further in the process, we'll know a little bit, and I'll keep the board abreast of what's going on with that after submittal and timing and such. So,
Okay.
but hopefully sometime before the holidays, but we never know.
All right. Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions for Andrew? If not, I'm hoping that we don't have a problem with this. This is a resolution, so I will entertain a motion to do the Director Cusworth.
I recommend that we adopt resolution 072023-A approving application in the California Strategic Growth Council that it be read in title only and all future readings be waived.
Thank you very much. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Oh, sorry. He was first. You gotta be faster.
I can be the second. She can be the first second.
I see. Okay, Director Nichols, second. Can we have a reading of the resolution, please?
Resolution number 072023 A. Resolution of the Board of Directors of the Conejo Recreation and Park District approving application for specified grant funds.
Thank you very much. If there are no further questions, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Go to it, Andrew. Get us that 10 million bucks. Item 9B, establishment of 2 ad hoc committees. Mr. Friedel, is this yours?
Yes, thanks, Chair Huffer, members of the board. A very short memo just explaining that we need to establish a couple ad hoc committees to work in depth on 2 kind of maybe tangentially related, but different areas. Both involve essentially Conejo Creek Park in the quadrants of Conejo Creek Park. The first committee we'd like to form is one to focus on large events and the number of large events, the nature of large events, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, we all know what those are right now. We have the chili cook-off and Conejo Valley Days and what is it? Not Oak Heart, Wild Oaks Country Music Festival. And then recently added the Borderline Party in the Park. So we'd like to kind of revisit there's a 2-page policy on why we have 4, kind of revisit that. Is that the right approach still? I'm not suggesting one way or another. I'll just have the committee talk about it. And then the nature of maybe some of the events and what they are, and are those the best events that we can have. So it's an opportunity to kind of roll up our sleeves, maybe invite some of those folks that do the events in, have conversations about what the benefit to the community is related to their events. You know, some have very clear, open, transparent allocation checks that go out right after or associated with an event. Others, we're not quite sure where or how exactly directly different areas in the community benefit. So we want to kind of explore that as well. So I'd like to do that with an ad hoc committee. So like 2 for that. And then do you want me to go on to the next one and then let you guys talk about both, or?
Why don't you go ahead?
Okay. And so then the other committee is really focusing on, and I kind of wish Sharon stuck around, but it's focusing on Conejo Creek West in particular, but you know, it's part of we have a master plan for just Conejo Creek Park, meaning the 4 different, we call them the 4 quadrants. But where I would like to spend some time with the board is really looking at Conejo Creek West. We recently, if you remember, I think it was just the last meeting, we extended the MOU with ETI and only did it for 1 year. And that's in part because they have another party that's come in and is offering to kind of lighten their load on some of the maintenance in exchange for some benefits and things that they see. And so there could be another entity at play or 2 that might have interest in equestrian stuff there. And then because it is part of a district-wide park facility, part of that bigger master plan, like we would do at any park, part of the discussion would inevitably involve what those physical improvements are, because they have some proposed physical improvements and modifications to the park. We invite the entire community to weigh in and opine as to what they think is best for the community. And we did have a meeting with Sharon and said, if this were to happen and we were to start having public meetings about what to do with this property, that in fact, I would not at all be surprised if there were other non-equestrian recreationist enthusiasts that did different things that wanted a little acreage at that facility. So there might be some, discussion about, what Conejo Creek West is today, how it's managed, where it might go in the future. And then if we really get into it, it would be the ad hoc committee would just be making recommendations to the full board on whether and how to proceed. but we'd kind of want to kick around all those like ideas with the committee before we came back to the full board. So those are the two ad hoc committees. Don't think we'll have to meet a lot, maybe 2 meetings or something at the most for each, something like that. West might be a little more involved in the large events, but just get together and chat. So I would love 2 on each of those committees. And now you guys have the hard part of figuring out who those 2 are going to be.
All right. I guess 2 things. First, if you have any questions for Mr. Friedel, and then if you have a burning desire to either be on a committee or not be on a committee, let us know that as well. So Director Nichols.
Yes, I would like to start with a question for the general manager. To clarify the footprint of Conejo Creek West, is that just the equestrian dog park, community garden area?
Nah, for purposes of this, we'd look at the piece on the other side of Flores as well, but the committee might just say, we don't want to touch that, but maybe it does. I don't know.
Okay. Has that been called the northwest piece before, or is that?
Yeah, it's Conejo Creek
Yes.
Northwest.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And I didn't
Yeah.
see it listed here, so I didn't know if that was in or out. So that is part of the discussion then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And while I have the floor, I would like to suggest a couple of participants for the large community events, and that being Directors Bus and Directors Huffer, since they are intimately familiar with the site where we have large community events. If you were so inclined to be a part of that committee, that would be my recommendation.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, I was going to suggest, I believe Director Cusworth was a person who suggested something along the looking at big events. I don't know if this is something that you're very interested in, Nellie, or not particularly, or
Yes, I'm very interested in it, but I don't feel I have to be on the ad hoc committee. I'm glad we're going to be having an ad hoc committee. So, I'm fine to hear other people's recommendations. I'm fine to be on that committee. I'm also interested in the other committee. So,
of the 2 committees, which are you more interested in?
well, I guess I would be the most interested in the big event committee.
Okay,
So,
all right. Since your name was mentioned, Director Bus.
I have a question on the process of how this works. So we have the ad hoc committee, then we come and we put that out on the agenda, and then the public is allowed to come, and then we're hearing the ad hoc committee's comments as well as the public's, and then we're discussing, just so I understand.
So an ad hoc committee does not have to follow the Brown Act. They're not open public meetings. So the ad hoc committee just gets together, helps staff kind of kick around ideas.
Okay.
And then where that usually results in, it'd be a memo or report to the full board saying, hey, the ad hoc committee met with staff and here's the committee's recommendation to the full board. Both of these kind of aren't, I wouldn't say looking for some sort of final solution. It's more like, if we're going to address Conejo Creek West, it's going to be, here's some ideas we talked about. Here's a process for further discussing it in a public setting with some ideas. That could be how Conejo Creek West goes. Or the large community events, I think we already have a 2-page policy. So it'd be if there's any tweaks to that policy and what those might look like, a recommendation to the full board, and then the full board would have an open public meeting and talk about those.
Okay, got it. Thanks for the clarification. As far as the events, large events, I mean, having ran one of the large events for the last 5 years, that went on, I definitely know a lot about that, and can provide insight in that, but I will say that my larger interest for me personally would be in the Conejo Creek West, as on a bigger picture, being a real estate agent and understanding the community and its needs and the value of that land. I think that to me is just something that's way more interesting, but I'm more than happy to provide insight on the large events, because I have my opinion as well, that I feel that they should be writing checks to the community from the event, hopefully, or at least that's always my goal. So I'm open for either one. I would love to partake in either, but I would rather prefer to be on the Conejo Creek West one if I could.
Director Lang, like you have no meetings at all that you ever do month to month, year to year, since we're looking for 4 individuals on 2 different
I
committees.
see four, looking in this direction, I see four.
Would you be terribly hurt if we did?
Not at all,
I didn't, okay,
not at all.
excellent. And Director Nichols, do you have a passion for one of these 2 ad hoc committees?
My preference would be the master plan for Conejo Creek as well. It is in my backyard, so I have a lot of personal interest in that. But I would like to propose that it even go beyond just this site. And the reason I bring that up, because the city is in the process of finalizing the master plan, the general plan for the city. And I was looking at this as saying, well, not only is this park what I would consider underdeveloped, as well as the northwest section is undeveloped, but we also have several other park sites around the city that are either undeveloped or underdeveloped. And I would be looking at this not only for the site itself, but in light of what we foresee the city kind of putting before us is in a general plan. And now how do we come right behind that in our specific plan for the Conejo Creek Park Complex, but also with our other undeveloped or underdeveloped parks in totality to address those concerns that are starting to pop up because of that general plan revision. So that would be my suggestion, but nonetheless, I would still be interested in the master plan.
I need to ask you then, Jim, is that thought above and beyond what you were, I'm assuming you and Andrew probably have talked about this some, is that a little beyond what you had in mind for an ad hoc committee?
Well, I mean, we had a very more narrowed, tailored focus, but I think there's actually not as many undeveloped park sites as you would think, but so kind of like corralling the actual properties we own and that are under or undeveloped. That's not a long list, and we can certainly provide that. But we haven't talked about it in so long because it's been a very long process. But if you remember, we entered into a contract with RRM to help us update our CRPD, the entire master plan, and that just basically has been on hold until basically now, when the city's released its draft general plan, which is on the street. So I think Andrew just told me recently we've reached out to RRM and said, okay, the draft master plan's on the street, start getting going again on our work on the master plan. So that's resumed that work. So kind of that's where we are. You know, I think for purposes of this ad hoc committee and really understanding Conejo Creek West, I want a deep dive on that would eventually probably result in community meetings. And what I think we'll do, like, we can easily give the whole board a list of the undeveloped parcels. Like, I think, you know, with a map and undeveloped parcels, so you just can quickly see what we already have as like park assets that aren't currently developed. And again, I don't think you're going to see a long list of properties. There's not too many.
Okay, but it wouldn't be totally out of line. It wouldn't hurt to discuss at least briefly more than just.
No, we could have those as part of like undeveloped property committee or something, Conejo Creek West and undeveloped properties or something.
Okay, all right. Yes, Director Cussworth.
I was going to say because when I saw this with the master plan, my first thought was to talk about that. It is time we were getting our master plan together, because we talked about that in January about our ideas, and we had that whole planning meeting. And I know we're waiting for the city, and the city is kind of getting underway because we are overdue. And it seems to me, if we're going to be talking about undeveloped parks, that should be something that we talk about when we do the whole master plan. And that's a whole nother topic as far as I'm concerned. It seems like this is, to me, just for this park. And if we're having other concerns, that should be brought up at another time when we're considering our master plan and where we want to go and how it relates to the city. That seems like a bigger topic, just in my opinion.
Okay, but again, because this is an ad hoc committee, not subject to the Brown Act, if questions or comments were raised about something other than Canal Creek West, it certainly wouldn't be out of line.
Yeah, I mean, for probably good order, it would be nice to sort of know that the universe of stuff we're talking about. So if it's likely to be, you know, Canal Creek West and undeveloped parks, then I just want to be clear about that that's what we're talking about. Again, my focus in bringing this the way I did was I'm really interested in Canal Creek, hyper focused on Canal Creek West. And those other parks are out there, part of our whole system for sure. And I just think that it's also something that has to be looked at, whether we do it in this committee or as part of a separate process that's ongoing. You know, because I don't think it's a lot of properties, we can kind of identify what those are in that, but I don't think we would necessarily get too far into any kind, because we have a very strong kind of standard process for asking the community how they want to use their land. And we generally start with a really, you know, open, what do you guys want out here, you know, by going out into the neighborhood, which I would expect the board would want us to continue with. And so that's how we would approach any of the undeveloped parcels. It's a matter of when you do it and whether you have the resources to actually do anything with the properties other than plan.
Okay, well, the recommendation you have written here says with an emphasis on Canal Creek West, doesn't necessarily exclude anything else, but probably include west and northwest as part of the discussion. Personally, because I was involved with Joe Gibson way back when we first drafted this document about big events, I definitely want to be on that committee. So I'm based on the comments and preferences that the board has expressed. I'm going to suggest that Director Cusworth, myself, be on the ad hoc committee for large community events, and Director Nichols and Director Buss be on the committee for emphasis on Canal Creek West and Northwest. Are there any further questions or comments? If not, I would probably, we need to do that in a form of a motion to form those committees with those members?
Yeah, why don't we just make a quick motion that.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
Sure.
Director Nichols?
Sure, I'll make the motion to follow the chair's recommendation on committee appointments.
Thank you. Can I get a second? Director Buss, any further discussion or questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. You guarantee only 500 meetings a year, right?
Well, you guys got to pick up the phone when I call and ask for a meeting. That's all.
You never call. It's always Aline who sends out email and stuff. All right. Item 10, reports and announcements. We have a long list, A through H. Do we have any questions or comments about any of those reports and announcements? Director Lang.
Yes, give me a minute and I get my pages all identified here. I'm going to start. Well, first of all, I'm focusing on our recreation. Well, what an amazing variety of activities and how many different groups it touches. It's just impressive. I mean, I think just one of those programs for some of park districts around would be excited to have. But starting on page 63, at the pancake breakfast, which a number of us attended, I had another question. Is it okay to suggest that, because I was talking with Mr. Hare at the breakfast, and previously there seemed to be a little more involvement of the patrons. You know, they had the drawings, and I know it's probably worked to get gifts and so forth, but a little more festivity and music. They did finally start playing patriotic music towards this end of the event. I know that, but you know, Tom Hare said, yeah, where is the music? So that's just a thought. And then on Safe Passage, what was the overall attendance of both those Safe Passage venues? One at Conejo Community Center at the Pavilion, Picnic Pavilion, and then the other one over. What was the attendance? Anybody guesstimate that?
I am looking up to make sure I'm gonna say the right thing on the right. That was the end of this summer events.
It's the one where I couldn't,
Aquatics. Oh, therapeutics.
Chuck, you
What
remember
page
that
are you
one that
looking at?
I couldn't find a place to
Barbecue.
park? So I just gave up. on
Oh,
it.
so it's not. Oh, yeah. Nope, that's not what he's talking about, but thank you. You're talking about at Conejo Creek when they did the bounce house and the food and all that stuff, the end of the year party with the HOA?
Street Carnival,
Yes,
yeah.
that's not in here. I am not sure how many people. I would say 500 or more. Do you know, Jim? Did you go to that one?
I was there and I mean, it's a point in
I would
time,
say-
right? It was over several hours.
Several
and I was
hours,
there
a
for
couple
20 minutes. I think Nellie was there too. I think I saw,
was there.
yeah, and you
Yeah.
were there. So it was crowded.
Definitely over 500. I'd probably guess 1,000 or more because it's not just open to our Safe Passage. It's open to
Right.
that whole entire
community.
community. And a
Right.
lot of them bring in their relatives and stuff like that. So it was quite well attended.
Yeah, that's the feeling I got. And
Yeah.
I couldn't even find a place to park. I made a couple circles but anyway, so,
Yeah, and
Um,
then Conejo is smaller because that one is more focused on at the Conejo
Warwick.
Community Center. It's more focused on that small group in the different areas. So it's not all Warwick anymore. But yeah, so that was probably just maybe 100 on that one.
okay. Page 93, Outreach Worker Reflections by Crystal Rodriguez. I don't know if you've all read that little reflection, but April was filled with various events for youth outreach during spring break. Dan and I attended a field trip to La Brea Tar Pits and students from our prospective teen clubs. Additionally, this is one of the things that caught my eye. I started a Fiore Gardens Teen Club. Currently, teen club participants attend schools outside the Conejo Valley Unified School District, giving me the opportunity to connect with students I would normally not connect with. I'm looking forward to expanding the Fiore Garden Teen Club. I thought that was a very progressive and really, what's the word for Crystal to take advantage of it. Where does that stand now? Do you know?
Fiore Gardens is back up and kind of running. It has small attendance and some of the kids go to homeschool and other untraditional schools. So that's the group that she's working with there.
Okay. I've got two more on one page 99, if I can get to it. Well, that was the same one you just talked about, Fiore Garden Teen Program.
Yeah, now they're also working with the Shadows Apartment, which is another area. So they're outreach is starting to work with some different apartment areas on the middle and the other side of town. So we're kind of starting to spread out a little bit to have multiple locations.
Great. The last one on page 103, looking at the enrollment summary report. It looked like the participants have really increased recently compared to the previous few years and so forth. Is it just things that are changing overall, or is there something specific with the programs?
We're back to normal and a little bit better.
Okay. Yeah, it's good to see, and I was just curious as to what impacted increased participants.
Yeah, our numbers are equal to or slightly better than 2019, and that you don't see on here anymore because we only go back 3 years. So
Okay. Very good. And
A lot of
good
stuff going on.
a good recreation division report. And again, so impressed with what we offer you and your team offers our community, and keep up the good work. That concludes my questions on that.
Any other questions, Director Bus?
Well, I have a comment and then I have a question. So my brother has informed me that he is singing for Play Conejo. They got accepted because someone fell out. Yeah, so him and his wife will be singing for Play Conejo. They just found out like yesterday. Very exciting. I can't make it, but hopefully you guys will attend. I would have. Yeah, it would have been great. I have a question on this. So I was reading through the program enrollment summary, and I was really surprised by Dos Vientos community, their class cancellation rate. Because I would have thought that that community would have been a community, like, especially, I mean, it's just so well placed within that community and there's so many kids there. Is there a particular reason, or is that kind of normal for them?
It's kind of normal for them.
Oh,
They are
interesting.
actually getting better and expanding some of their programs, but they are in a place where they try a lot of new classes.
Oh,
And sometimes you have too many classes, so you don't have enough people enrolling in all of them. So you have to remove some of them and then move kids into other light classes.
okay.
So there's some,
They're like the testing site for market data, kind of.
but it's also very specific to Dos Vientos. So
Not surprising.
it's not like, because, yeah, because Borchard can be full on everything and people still won't go like
Yeah.
over there. So they do have their advisory committee that they meet twice a year, where they try to ask people from the community, like, what do you guys want to see? And they've had some success with that, where kids have said, oh, we want a chess class. And we're like, okay. And then we did it, and the kids got everybody in the chess class. So so that is there. And then Westlake is part of Dos Vientos also. And
That's right.
Westlake is just starting to get the kind of back up and running again. So they're running some summer enrichment programs, and the fitness classes and stuff are back up and running. And so those will start to hopefully try to grow a little bit more.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. I was just curious. I'm like, that's a lot higher than the other.
Sometimes they just try a lot of classes and they market them. And then if they don't fly, then
Okay.
they
that
try to
makes
fill
sense.
the other classes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Director Cusworth?
So just briefly, of course, whenever I look through these and read them, I'm just always so surprised and impressed with all that we do. But something that just stuck out to me right now is when I was looking through the folder is this guide. Have we always had this guide? Is this a new guide?
It is brand new. So when we did our new pricing and everything, we've actually been wanting to do it for a while to try to market more of our picnic areas and our rentable areas. And so the team got on it and got it completed so that we could get it out in July with the new pricing in it. And so this is also on the website. So it's really easy for folks to look through. And we, I don't think we have it yet, but we'll have a Spanish one also in this. So that should be coming soon. They're done with it. I think they're just printing it. So this will be able to be out in the community and then available on the website also. So it makes it kind of easy for people to know what's at the
Wow.
different parks. and
It's
stuff
like,
where they're renting.
whoa, look at what we've got in this community. So I had a couple questions. So are these just going to be placed at our community centers and?
So we have a few that we've printed, because they are expensive to print something like this. So they will definitely be in the reservations office. Again, like we said, we developed it to put it on the website so people can flip
Okay.
through it, and it'll be in English and Spanish. But yes, every community center will have a few of them, and we'll see how they go. And then we need to order a bunch more than if people are really taking them and looking at them. But the hope is that we can drive people to the websites, and they can look there and they can see the.
So
different
what do
parks and
they,
stuff.
what do they have to get to get to the website to find this?
Just our website, and you go to reservations, and it's
So is reservations on the top bar?
No.
Like somewhere? So is-
I think it's Fields. Oh, and I won't be able to get to it fast.
That's
but
okay. You can tell me later.
Yeah.
I was just wondering because sometimes you'll say it's on the website, but you have
And
to go
it's-
to like
yeah,
three
you
different
gotta-
places on the website to find
It is
something.
here on the, it says website reservations, actually, so they might have actually changed that. And then I thought they had a QR code too, but they might have taken it. Is it on the inside?
Well, it's a very
There's also
beautiful
a QR code.
presentation. So did your staff put this together?
Yes, so the marketing department and Tim Dewar and Andy were and James actually helped out with some of it too, but Andy and Tim were the basic leads on this project. And then marketing for all the pictures and making it look graphically pretty.
Yeah, no, the pictures are fabulous. And then I was also wondering, so they're reservable, but do all of them come with a fee or do some of them you just can reserve?
No, they all come with a fee.
Because on some of these, like I'd think, oh, I'm just gonna show up there.
Well, you
I
can't.
wouldn't
as
even-
long as-
Sure, but it's
As long
not
as it's not
reserved,
reserved, you're
If it's
happy to
not
first
reserved.
come, first serve.
Okay.
But yes.
But you can, if you want it, you can reserve it. And then do they put up like a little sign? Okay.
Oh, yeah. If you pay, it's yours. And there's signs up a couple days ahead of time and all
Okay.
that good stuff. So yeah, all the fees are now priced in here now too.
Oh, I
so you
was
can
looking
see
for the
every
fees. Okay,
area.
there they are. I know why
Yeah.
I couldn't see the fees. Do you know why? Because I didn't have my glasses
Glasses on. They are small. We did try to do at least 11 points, but
No, that's okay. You see now, I
And
put
then,
my glasses on, I can kind of tell.
the
Um,
other thing that is new in here that we're trying, the team came up with this idea and we're actually already getting rentals on it. You'll notice Conejo Creek North. Lakeside, we used to only rent as the whole Lakeside pavilion, but it's very, very big and a lot of times it goes unused. So we are trying to see if people would like to, we have an option of side A or side B now. So they can pay less and use it. But we're only letting people rent it after a certain date for
Oh,
for
in
large
case somebody
parties.
wants
So it's
to
like
do it.
really close. It's like within 30 days. So it wouldn't take the space of a large party. And we already have one, I think this weekend or next weekend.
So I have one other question, which should be obvious, but it says on some of them, no bounce house. So I don't think any of our parks come with a bounce house. Does this mean you cannot bring your own bounce house?
correct. So
Okay.
there are certain parks and areas where you can have bounce houses in certain areas. And even like some of them are on the dirt. And some of them are on the grass. So some of them we have electricity, some of them we require that they bring in their own quiet generator. So that's what that is. It's just listen to this park, you can't have a bounce house.
Okay, well, kudos to your staff. This is really nice to have. And always for everything that you always do. Thank you.
Chuck, real quick question. Rochelle, does the city and the city hall lobby have a place where they can put a brochure like this?
I believe they have a space for something like that. So I'll have a marketing check out if there is something we can put over there.
Any other questions or comments? Just a couple on this brochure. Rochelle said it's on the website. They also have a link on our social media.
I can, usually if they would post something, it would be on social media to link to it. But I don't think like there's just randomly something on Facebook that you can go and do. There's events. I can look into it. But
Just curious.
I don't know how to use
Just curious.
that if it's permanently on there.
Yeah.
Those things are more like things that come and go.
Yeah, okay. And just a couple other comments. It was nice to see that the enrollment for most centers and most programs you made the comment that they're getting close to recovering back to pre-COVID levels, which is certainly great. I always like looking at the investment report where you have something with a decimal between the numbers as opposed to everything to the decimal to the left of everything. So very exciting. And I'm amazed that someone's able to find someplace in the city where they can still build a single family residence. And we get some funds from a single family residence as opposed to all those little $100 from ADUs. So anyway, if there are no other comments or questions, we'll move on to 11 department reports. Parks Division, Andrew.
Thank you, Chair Hupper, members of the board. Just two quick comments. Good news, Page Lane, we got turf. So that turf was installed Monday through Wednesday. They're doing some cleanup. It will be fenced off through August till early September for establishment. So excited to get that going. And then a little bit of bad news is we're still have a delay at Dos Vientos. We have some fencing materials delayed. So we're keeping the playground closed until that fence panel and welding and all that can get cleaned up. So we're hoping in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll keep you informed of when we do a ribbon cutting. But yeah, just unfortunate because everything's done except for we're waiting on the fence. So, but with that, I'm available for questions.
Any questions for Andrew, Director Lang?
More of a comment. I've been by Page Lane Park twice, Monday and yesterday, just to look at the turf, and it really makes a difference. I mean, we understand why we couldn't have it to begin with, but when you drive by and see that green, that's a good park.
Yep, definitely completes the park.
Any other questions? No, moving along. Oh, there it is. Recreation Division.
Thank you, Chair Heffer, members of the board. So just two things tonight. Well, I lie. So summer's halfway done and everything is going really well. Camps are full. We're being able to call people on waiting lists if people drop out. So just the team is really, really doing a good job out there and kids are staying really, really busy. Pat Benatar on Sunday. And then you were commenting about the reservations brochure. Another thing that we've been working on for a while and finally we've got it done is a special event sponsor opportunity flyer. So these are going to be being printed out. We'll get a few of them and I'll give them to you guys when they're the nice ones, but it's opportunities for local people in the community and how they can sponsor different events and pay certain amounts of money and what they get for that. So it's a little clearer now and it's more equal to all as far as this is what you get and this is how we're going to make sure we do what we're going to do. So, and then it talks about some of the special events so that people have a little idea of what they are. So this is going to be out really soon. It is on the website already. So, but we'll get a couple printed out so that we can put them around. And then in your packet, you should have got our update from our last survey from our spring one. So as I love this because as normal, I think it's pretty normal for us to get a really good response. We got almost 10% back this time. Usually we're somewhere between 3 and 10% as far as responses. You can see what our biggest centers are being used and people are still very, very happy with what's being offered and who we have teaching classes and our staff and our cleanliness of our facilities and whatnot. So overall, I just think it's always a really proud moment to be like, yep, we are doing really well. So that, and then last thing, just so you guys know, I've talked about it over the years, different times in regards to our program guide. We did some membership community meetings, and we are going to be moving forward with a refresh and update to our program guide. So it's not going away, but it's going to change. So we are working on the layout and we'll be doing that for the next several months. And we hope to have that being pushed out in the fall winter guide. So not fall, fall is going to be, it's in printing right now. And then winter will be next. And then we'll hopefully push out this new idea and design. So, and with that, I'm available for questions.
Any questions for Rochelle? No. The program guide still going to continue to go out to the entire district. I don't suppose there's any simple way of having people opt out of getting the printed guides to save costs.
I wish, and I'll look into that, but I think it's very much zip code, how you have to take out a whole zip code. So it's not like just individual, like it would be too hard to pull out just individuals. So I'm,
The bullet. send it.
yeah, hoping to cut down some pages and do some different things, but then I get this and I see 44% learn from the program guide. So the
Yeah,
information
you
will
can't
be
very well
the
eliminate it,
information will
so.
be just in a different format that we've been hearing will hopefully make it easier for people to find classes that they want, taught by who they want, at the location that they want, and maybe find more classes. So.
Okay. All right. There are no questions for Rochelle. Moving along to management services. Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Chair and board members. So we finished the CRPD budget and the CRPD interim audit, which means we're now on to the MRCA budget and the MRCA interim audit. But so that's my world right now, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Melissa? No. All right, moving along to general manager's report.
Yeah, a few things. Thank you, Chair Huffer, members of the board. I sent an email just now about the city's draft general plan being out there. So if you have interest in different subject areas, it's pretty easy the way they have it laid out on the website to click on different chapters and look at it. For example, there's an arts and culture chapter in there, Nellie, that might be interesting to you. And no, I mean, I know you have a no, but no, there's good stuff in there, and obviously all the big ones, housing and traffic and transportation and all that stuff, but also our parks and open space are in there as well, and conservation. So it's the blueprint for how the city's going to run for the next few decades. So it's probably worth looking at some point. I don't think they're going to really start getting into the final approval sort of pathway until September. So I think you got a couple months to get some comments in. Just a smattering of interesting different things. We just found out, we're very sad to know, but very happy for him. Mark Gann is going to go ahead and retire. If you don't know him by name, you would know what he does. And he's our heavy equipment operator who he can move dirt like no one else. He can't. Yes, exactly. So he's his wife's in the film and TV industry, and they are up and moving to New Mexico. They're done. I put in your mail folder a memo about, thanks to Andrew for preparing it. The Crowley House is closed for a near term, at least, based on some structural issue concerns. And fortunately, we've been able to do the therapeutic rec programming that was done there at the Jantz Marketplace. So that is good. So we didn't lose programming, but we are gonna, because it is gonna be closed, and there has been occasional mischief in and around the property, the house in particular, we're going to go ahead and put up a fence that would be an asset to the property, whether and when we open it. But for the near term, it'll be fenced off, and we have a structural engineer working with us to try to figure out what the right approach to resolving this. I think it's the oldest standing building in the Conejo Valley. So we have a historic property, we have a structural concern about, so that's being looked at. You guys already mentioned that. I did send out an email about the Deer Creek press event that Assembly Member Irwin is having tomorrow. So if you do have free time, I know George reached out. We're gonna carpool from here around 10, I think. So if anyone else wants to go, got a big car. Monday, I'm going to be meeting with, I think we mentioned that Akbar Ali Khan, who worked at the city, then eventually went over to the city of Ventura, and now he's back as an assistant city manager at the city of TO. He and I are going to kind of reconnect and drive all over on Monday, checking stuff out and just talking, catching up, that kind of stuff. So that's great that he's given us attention, and he did his master's thesis at Cornell on recreational amenities in the Conejo Valley. So he knows us pretty well. He knows what's here and he grew up here, and good dude. That's it. I just might mention we're gonna have a long summer break. That's really nice. In that break time, we'll be trying to set up individual one-on-one meetings, like as tradition, and it's a good way for us to catch up. And then hopefully I am taking 2 weeks off out of the next 5. So I am committing myself on the record here, because otherwise this is for my staff that know I will have a draft of the strategic plan for the board meeting on 9/7. So I said it. I'll have it done.
They're gonna hold you to it, King.
That's my goal. Other than that, and we do have a need for a closed session after this. I'm available for questions.
Yes. Any questions for our general manager? No, all right,
No.
we will move along to director's reports and follow-up reports on meetings, conferences attended. I'm going to start down at the left side here with Director Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just looking to see, what actually took place. Since we didn't have a meeting recently. I do see on July 13th, had a California Association of Recreation and Park Districts Legislative Committee meeting. I did on the 10th, meet with the general manager, had a nice conversation there. And I guess July 4th, attended the Swing Dolls concert. I think that was about it. Just
All that time and that's all you did?
That's all I did that's reportable.
Okay.
You had a meeting, went with Mikey for Orchard Skate Park?
Oh, that's right. Yes, we had a conversation with Mikey Taylor at actually with staff, general manager at the Orchard Skate Park earlier this week. So,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
Director Cussworth.
Well, interestingly, I have nothing to report, but I did look at next week. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, let's see, 5, maybe 6 things till the end of July. So I'm doing everything the last week, but I was gone, but there is a very interesting event happening in September, and I'd like to thank Aline. I don't know if any of you saw the flyer. I don't have mine because I left it at home. In your board packet. Was it put in their board packet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping you'll all go to this because it's going to be one of the great highlights of the year. Is it in there?
Yeah, what is it?
There you go.
Okay, so it's called From Late Bloomer to Superstar, How Thousand Oaks Grew Up. And we have 2 people that are presenting this at the Goebel Center, Nellie Cussworth and Bill Ackerman. So I hope you will come to this as part of their entertainment live. And they used to call it, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll have to get started with that. I did a program similar to this 6 or 7 years ago about women in the Conejo. So I'm doing a PowerPoint about the history, and unless you're a docent at the Stagecoach Inn who's very active, you will learn something, I absolutely guarantee you. So it should be interesting, but then I had 5 women do vignettes portraying 5 women in the Conejo Valley, and I wanted to do something with men. So this is all about why Thousand Oaks was such a late developer and why now we're one of the biggest populated and most expensive area in Ventura County. Is that true, Director Buss? I think Thousand Oaks is the most expensive place to live. Right.
Well, you have Ventura County Westlake,
But that's part of Thousand Oaks.
yeah.
Yeah. That is part of Thousand Oaks.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm talking about all Conejo Valley. Anyway, I shouldn't go on and on about this, but I do want to promote it. Please come, bring your friends. It was very well received. And then Bill Ackerman, he's an excellent actor. He's going to do all 5 men. He's incredibly entertaining, very funny, actually. In fact, when I talk with him, I never know if he's serious or not. He's such a great guy, but it will be interesting. It will be fun. So I hope you'll all come.
We have
And
to get tickets at the Goebel Center, right?
you do, but Cynthia Bankston, who's in charge of this, said that you can get them online now.
Oh,
Anyway,
a lot of those events at the Goebel sell out pretty quickly. So.
the one that I did on the women, it did sell out and they had a line outside that couldn't get the tickets. They haven't had quite as big of an attendance on COVID, so I don't know if it'll sell out this time. I'm hoping I'll get a good attendance, So I am blatantly promoting my event, which would be a board identifiable event because it is at the Goebel Center. So please come.
You get paid twice.
I will not report it, but I think all of you could.
All right, Director Buss.
Yes, I have been not very active as well, but did have an ad hoc property committee meeting via Zoom. my
Did I
friend
give you
here,
back the flag?
Director Lang.
Yes, you're gonna want.
It was exhilarating for us both. So, but other than that, I have nothing to report. Thank you. I will try and do better for next time.
Director Lang.
Yes, thank you, Chair Huffer. As alluded to, I attended the July 4th pancake breakfast and the concert in the park and the fireworks. At an MRCA meeting. I attended the McCray Ranch movie night. We had 2 more park watershed parks recreation conservation authority board meetings. And we had a Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy Board meeting, first time since COVID, in person. SMMC meeting, and we had 2 venues, one at the River Center. Along the LA River area, and then one at King Gillette Ranch. So it's good to get back together. There's so much benefit when you're sitting next to somebody in the interaction, and you just learn so much more, and you feel like there's more going on. So that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Well, I don't know about you guys. You had nothing to do all month long. I've got this long list of things. I was at the Touch a Truck, which was a lot of fun. I think, weren't you at the city council meeting with Jim and me? I can't remember who else was there, but I know Jim and I, no, you weren't there.
Tim, no, it was Tim and Rochelle.
Somebody was there. I was there. Anyway, we made a presentation. Tim did a great job, by the way, with his presentation to the city council for Parks and Recreation Month. So 4th of July, the pancake breakfast, concert in the park and the fireworks, the McCray movie that Director Lang talked about. Councilmember Engler and I and Brian Stark, thank you. As a subcommittee of COSCA board, met with and interviewed, I think, 5 different candidates for the public member of the COSCA board, and the COSCA board will be dealing with that, and I think in their September meeting is the next COSCA meeting. So but I'm not done yet, because I promised my 7-year-old granddaughter that I would present her report to the board once I explained what a rating system of 1 to 10 was, that 1 is horrible, 10 is the best absolute in the world. She gave Touch a Truck a 10. She thought that was spectacular. We went to the Chumash Indian Museum. Maybe she was just tired, but she only gave that a 5. Stagecoach Inn was a 6, primarily because they let her dig through the sand for the dinosaur bones in their section there. Of the playgrounds we went to, kudos to Andrew for giving me a list of the newer playgrounds. We didn't get to all 10 of them, but we got to most of them. But we have a few left to hit next time they're here. But of the parks we did get to, my granddaughter rated Spring Meadow a 10.
Wow.
She gave Lang Ranch, I'm surprised, only a 4. Again, maybe she was tired. Thousand Oaks Community Park, they loved the anthill there, so they gave that a 9. Pepper Tree, they loved that. They gave it an 8. Glenwood was a 7. Triumpho was an 8. And Suburbia was a 6. So that is my granddaughter's report on the activities and playgrounds in Conejo Recreation and Park District.
I'm very pleased to hear Spring Meadow got a 10.
Yeah,
That's my neighborhood, our neighborhood park.
that's where I was.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, because Suburbia was closest, but it
Yeah.
wasn't as nice.
Anyway, let's see, department reports, request for status reports and items for subsequent agendas. Anybody? Yes.
Yes, I do
Director
have
Nichols.
something I would like to bring up here. I'm not sure if it would result in a status report, subsequent agenda or something, but as I was thinking about the list we just saw on sponsorships, and also thinking about the unlikely revenue measure that we obviously didn't get through the last time, and probably won't get to the next election. And also thinking about the Conejo Community Center needing $10 million on September 6th, apparently, or close to it, after we get this grant. I've been mulling around, how do we generate funds if we're not going to do a revenue measure? And I know one of the things we've, I guess I've thought about, I don't know what everybody else, donations, if we're gonna have community that's going to donate things, whether it's $10 million or, $100 or whatever it is towards a facility, towards an amenity, a feature in a park, whatever that happens to be, what is our policy on, just like with the sponsorships, what do I get for that donation? Is it a name on a sign? Is it a little poster? Is it a yard sign for a week? What do I get? Or do I just get the gratitude of the board?
Name the
Um,
committee meeting on Tuesday.
So that's part of what I'm thinking is, how do we address these concerns of folks that maybe want to give a substantial contribution? And I think when you do get something like a $20 million building and you get $10 million in grant funding, which would be wonderful. Money begets money. And if you get a head start, then you just say, hey, we just need a few more people to, contribute something. There will be people that contribute something. And so now it's a matter of, well, how do we acknowledge that? So I think it'd be nice to have some, I don't know if it's a policy, if we have something in place that we could add to, but somehow get something in place where if someone has an offer or, asks about it, you say, oh, yeah, this is what you get for that kind of money. I think it would be helpful as we're kind of in that position now where, revenue measure is probably not going to take the place, and yet we still have some aging buildings and some things that would need to get done. That may be an avenue to go, and it would be nice to have that in place to share with someone who may be so inclined. So that's kind of my long-winded request, and I'm not quite sure how that's going to unfold, and I'll leave that in maybe the general manager's capable hands for recommendations on how best to address that. I don't know if it's like if the city of Thousand Oaks has a template or something, yeah, this is what we do, or others. Maybe it's just a little research to find out what some options are, but I think that would be helpful to have when those times come.
Good idea. Probably something more than a GoFundMe page.
I think probably so, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And something a little more formal and recognizable, yes.
All right.
So
If there's nothing else, items from the public, do we have anybody waiting online breathlessly waiting to? No. How disappointing. Okay, let's see. So we do have a need for an executive closed session. You wanted to give your usual spiel.
Yes, I would. We have a need for a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54,956.8. Conference with real property negotiators. The property is 1501 Susan Drive in Thousand Oaks. Agency negotiators, Friedel, negotiating party owners are Robert and Lynn Burns, represented by Daniel Taylor of Compass Newport Beach. It's regarding price and terms. No announcement is expected.
So can I then adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
All right. In that
To
case.
our closed